What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer Guys back yet again, this time bringing you Mission 10, the Foundry on our Legendary walkthrough. So this one actually surprisingly, it gave me very little trouble on the easy run through. I didn't think this mission was going to be so bad, mostly because you get the Scarab. And I figured the Scarab, it does have a ton of health, and it will kind of bulldoze me through this mission. And kind of surprisingly, this mission ended up being a little bit tougher than I think I gave it credit for. Not as much of the leader power spam as you see, but we're going to kind of just, we'll go a little bit of double speed pretty much throughout the whole video. Again, trying to make these a little bit shorter for you guys, but still able to kind of see how we're setting up. But for this first portion, you're just pushing through. I always stick to the right hand side, knock out the blister backs. Honestly, I would recommend maybe using a Spartan and taking one of those full health, because it is a pretty decent flying unit. And really that's about it. I think I made one mistake there. I would definitely recommend during this first portion, save your resources to use for restoration drones, not for the archer missiles like I did, and honestly not for the ODSTs either. If you keep that core group alive, they're going to be much better at taking out what you face anyways. I actually get to a point here when I run into the honor guard where I run into a little bit of trouble of finishing him off, just because literally almost everything else I have is destroyed, and I'm just essentially down to the Spartans, mostly because of this portion right here. The Banshees just kind of keep rolling in one by one. The Hunters, they get garrisoned up, and I keep like trying to go back and forth to fight one or the other, and then I keep getting another Banshee flying in, and it just does not work out in my favor. So there, I think having a blister back with a flying unit, one, it could take out the Hunters for you. Two, I think it would fare a little bit better against the Banshees itself. But for the most part, this part wasn't too bad. Again, restoration drones in lieu of the archer missiles I used there, because again, I think at this portion I would have more on my side to be able to fight than I did. The nice thing is you don't have to worry too much about supplies. You can burn through all of them, because when you break down the first barrier and get to the base, they'll give you enough supplies to make your initial base upgrades and get things going. So don't worry too much about that. But again, here, just kind of burn through. The other nice thing about having flying units here, especially with the two Spartans, is because the honor guard can't hit them. So he's gonna run around. He's gonna, do his damage against my ODSTs. And I'm just going to use the blister back here and just kind of continue to snipe him. So while that's rolling through, again, after this, we'll grab the Scarab and we'll be on our way. Not as many leader powers. Didn't see that quite as much, which was really nice. The final fight for this is pretty tough, but I think if you set up, like we have in a lot of other missions, if you set yourself up first before that happens, I think honestly you're going to be okay. It's just kind of taking the time, getting yourself set. The Scarab does a great job here with this initial set of enemies and everything. Nothing really too much to worry about here through the first barrier. And honestly, all I have is the Spartan and my Scarab to take down this first base. So very doable, even if you're sitting with what I had here. Obviously, we got to break through these barriers, which take a little bit of time. Time's probably your worst enemy here. Because once you trigger up, you get that base going. It gives you 30 minutes to knock out the final banished base and clear out the rest of the enemies, which that was probably the hardest portion for me. Not so much getting the base done, but just the fact that they keep sending in pretty good waves of enemies, even once you've destroyed the base, and the Scarab will make quick work of the base. But it was just kind of the cleanup that worried me the most. So here, we're just going to kind of roll through again. Leader powers don't seem to be as big of an issue, which was really nice in this one. They will still get played. The enemy will still use them and still end up taking out some units. But typically how I ended up doing my setup for this one, pretty heavy on the Hornet side again. Hornets are probably overall, in my opinion, the best unit that you can spawn in on any given mission. So it's preferable you grab those and utilize them. I do some Wolverines and some Marines as well, just because of the healing capability for the Marines. And Wolverines are quite good against the Banshees, which you'll face here at the beginning. This was the other tough portion for me. was trying to make sure that I could take care of the actual enemies that were going to be in here, hitting the base. Um, and luckily Alice does a nice job, but I kind of just continue to use her jack ability. As far as the base setup, we're going to go pretty standard. We're going to go quite a few supply pads. We're going to go energy generator, power generator, excuse me. So again, pretty standard base build. Just get the resources flowing. You do end up getting that small mini base there, which I do end up turning, I think, into 2 supply generators for myself. Getting some turrets up here at the beginning is going to be pretty beneficial, mostly because you're going to continue to see the Banshees. Banshees will kind of continue to harass. Sadly, your Scarab can't take care of them. If you have Alice up, she does a decent job, but I want to use her to grab that power node there. So just making sure, make that a little bit of a priority. Just get some base defense up, or even just a couple Marines, and they should be okay to continue, and just kind of let you do your thing. So again, as I've done in a lot of maps, I just get things set up, get the supplies rolling, start to work population cap, start to work armory, get the air pad up, start to work that a little bit. You obviously, again, don't have as much time as you like, so we're kind of fast forwarding through this, but you're going to see me. My Scarab does get pretty scary as far as health, which kind of keys me in that I need to power up the Marines. I start getting a couple Wolverines and Hornets ready to go because I do like that setup. Just a couple Wolverines, which end up most of mine get destroyed here in this first push outside the base. So I go primarily Marines and Hornets after that, which honestly isn't a bad idea. The Hornets are going to do great. They do great against the Banshees, and they do surprisingly well, obviously against everything else, but really against the Blisterbacks as well. The Blisterbacks can deal some pretty good damage. So I'm just working the upgrades, just trying to get the Marines up, them ready to go. I'm working here, again, trying to get some more energy because I realize that's where probably my biggest downfall is. The nice thing, you don't have to go to Headquarters 3 to end up getting the Marines fully powered up, which saved me quite a bit of energy. We recycle, we'll finally get the armory up. Again, I've got a garage up, which not a bad idea. I would almost just keep the Wolverines back at this base for defense, but we'll keep rolling through this. You see me again, just taking the time. You have the time, so take the time. I try to just get the population cap up, even more so than logistics. I think the population cap, if you can get a larger army when you start making your pushes, you'll find, I think, good success. And then here, I've got a decent army. I've got the Scarab, I've got 10 Hornets, 3 Wolverines, a couple sets of Marines, I think 4, and then Alice. So we're going to start to make our push forward. We make it up to 100. We finish out the population cap, but we still got a couple things, a couple Hornets spawning in. So not a terrible setup. And again, immediately beyond this is a pretty good sized force. So don't destroy that barrier right here until you're absolutely ready to go. I'm keying up. I'm just getting ready for the turret drop. That drops in. That actually soaks up quite a bit. My Scarab, I don't know what the heck he's doing. He's just kind of walking wherever he wants. And here again, Blisterbacks, because until they really start to get targeted, they will stay in lockdown mode. That's the other reason I like to go heavy air on this side, and I think that was really kind of what saved this mission for me and made it not so bad. You saw a little cheeky move there. So they do put those collected energy pods, or whatever you want to call them, cells, right there behind those Blisterbacks. Target those, and it'll absolutely smash those guys. That saved me quite a bit of time and quite a bit of a hassle, to be really honest. But again, I'm going to continue to upgrade. The Hornet upgrade is something that I would try to do probably pretty early, especially if you stick with this kind of army setup that I have. And again, I rely on them a lot. That extra Marines that those guys get is just huge. It's so good. The extra damage is just absolutely awesome. Here's the one area where you can kind of find yourself in a little bit of trouble. Not so much because you'll lose units, but for the sole fact that your Scarab likes to wander a little bit. He's kind of like Forge in multiplayer. He kind of likes to do whatever he wants, and he'll very easily get drawn forward. And if he's just by himself, he can take quite a bit of damage and scare you a little bit. So I think I do get a Nightingale up. Yeah, I do. So I want to start healing a couple Marines in there, but more than once you'll see him kind of wander off, engage into a unit, and then I have to like pull him back. Like right here, he's pretty much by himself. The Hornets are doing their thing. They're setting up. They're ready to help defend him. I keep him too close there. Honestly, I would just take that whole group and probably move him more to the front of the base, kind of back in between the two bases, just so they can still defend, because you'll get a pretty good swarm of enemies coming through there. But again, here you see him, he's just getting pulled. They push a lot of units down into the right hand side, over where that mini base is. So I'm just going to get the second base established. Again, build up some of the things that we always put in there. I'm going to make sure I get an air pad up, a couple of supply pads, because that's at this point what I need, especially if I'm going heavy Hornet. Don't be afraid again to use, because these two bases are so close, you can really make good use of both bases spawns and the ability to create. I am going to get some turrets on this thing, just for the sole fact of I know it's going to get attacked. And I do decide here at this point, I'm going to make a push. Make a little push over there. The Scarab's at good health. They've got quite a few Hornets set up. I'm going to take out this mini base. I'm just going to kind of clear myself a little bit of a path and just try to take the pressure off. Honestly, I think it was a pretty good decision, especially if you've got a decent sized army. They don't put up a ton of opposition for you. You can get a turret set up there. You can get another mini base. And at this point now I really can focus on just that central area, the area in white, if you're not familiar, where all of the enemies and the final base is, and ready to kind of move in from. So at this point, we're up to 120 population cap. I'm just going to work up. I'm going to get to the full 120, just make sure I'm all set to go. And again, supplies more so than energy at this point, so don't be afraid. One technique I've really learned and come to find that it's helpful. I feel like people are sometimes hesitant to destroy buildings that they've had up. You've put resources and time into letting them upgrade and that kind of stuff. Don't be afraid to do that here. If you don't need energy, especially with what I was sitting at, all the upgrades I needed were good to go. Don't be afraid to destroy those, get some supply pads up. So at this point we've got a full army. We're calling everybody in. I've got a few things working on the mini base. This initial swath isn't too bad, especially if you have leader powers. This is one area I recommend. Give yourself some time, wait, get all your leader powers ready to go, and you'll see you'll have a lot more success. So at this point, I get a decent archer missile strike in, which does some good damage for me. I continue to push forward. I think I actually dropped this turret kind of in between where the units are now and the actual base. It's the Banshees in here that actually give me probably the most trouble, just because they can take quite a bit of damage. But besides that, everything else gets taken care of pretty quickly. Again, I'm just watching my population, just making sure I'm staying as close to 120 as I can. Plenty of units at this point. We missed the 20-minute mark. Totally okay. Again, don't recommend trying to get all the bonus and optional objectives and all that stuff on your legendary playthrough. Recommend kind of holding that for an easier playthrough. Now the nice thing is I actually did these a little bit out of order. I finished 11 and 12 and forgot that I needed to do this mission. So you'll see I do finish up with this one, get the achievement for all legendary. I had not played a single mission on heroic, and ended up getting the heroic achievement as well. So it does count, which is nice. So it's not going to require a third playthrough for me, just once on the easiest difficulty to get all the bonus and optional objectives, and then once through on legendary to knock them all out. So now I'm just sitting at 2 to go, which is really nice. Just need to do weekly challenges and a daily challenge for each day of the week, and that will be it for achievements. So those achievement hunters out there can throw a like on this video for me, because I am extremely close. This is the toughest part for me for whatever reason. Everything's pretty well spread. They've got blister backs that are set up. I've been trying to crank units and get them forward, but I did lose quite a bit. The base goes down pretty quickly for me just because, again, a massive units, and I focused on it on purpose. But what that ended up doing was making me kind of vulnerable. So at this point, I'm leader powerless. I'm trying to get some Hornets over there. I'm kind of just watching the Scarab's health out of the corner of my eye, because he can't absolutely do anything. Luckily that sets down right there, and I just absolutely smash it. But the Banshees, they just keep flying in, and it actually gets to the point where my Scarab gets pretty low on health, which is a scary feeling, to be honest with you. And I was nervous that I was actually going to lose this mission right at the very end, because once you do the defense, the timer ends once you take out the base, but you have to have to finish up the rest of the units that are sitting there. Now the nice thing is here, we end up knocking out just enough of them, and I think I just barely clean them up, which is good. And the blisterbacks, I try to keep this Scarab out of here. So if you've watched my easy guides, the optional objective for keeping the Scarab not taking damage, I think, is if it, at least you saw me lose it there, I think you have to at least keep it out of the red area for damage. If you can do that, then you will earn the bonus objective. But right here, I think I had a siege turret on the back end side and ended up cleaning up the last of the blisterbacks, and boom, that's it right there for me, guys. So missions 10 and 11, they will be up probably right after this one if you're watching, so stay tuned for those. We did finish this up, which is nice for me, because now me and Sloth can focus on some more of the multiplayer stuff. I've got a domination video that I'm working on, and we want to talk deathmatch and stronghold as well, and then more blitz. We got some more ideas for that. So stay tuned. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide. Hopefully it was helpful. Again, hopefully you're learning more from my mistakes and not repeating them, but overall not a bad mission. Hopefully you're just pulling and using again. I was a big fan. Scarab powered up with some Hornets, get a couple Marines in there for the healing ability, and I think you guys should be all set for the most part with this mission. Really not too bad. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you haven't or are not a subscriber, please do subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter as well, and that would just tweet out, again, when we got updates, when we got new stuff dropped. So just another way to kind of stay in tune with the channel. But thank you guys so much for checking out. Let me know down in the comments below if this guide was helpful. I've been getting a lot of actual Xbox messages, which is really cool. So I appreciate all the support from the community out there. Me and Sloth do. It really does mean a lot, and we've grown a lot. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so much, guys. I've been Doc from Average Gamer Guys. Thank you so much for checking the video out, and we will check you next time.